Hello, I am Lila Berry, and this week I am interviewing author I.N. Knight about their book, The Bonds of Earth and Fire. So, welcome.
Oh, thank you for welcoming me.
To start us off, could you give us a short summary of Bonds in your own words?
The Bonds of Earth and Fire is a romantasy thriller about a dragon shifter named Ninde, trained from a young age to basically infiltrate a government entity known as the Coalition because she was taught that they wanted to basically put an end to magic and imprison all dragons. When she and her friend Melody decide to escape the compound they grew up in and basically rid themselves of the responsibility of taking their family's war on, Melody gets kidnapped before they're able to escape. Desperate to save her, Ninde goes to her family for help, only to be labeled as a traitor and sent on the run for her life if she wants to survive. Ninde's journey goes through the challenges of learning how to survive, but also how to trust others again as she continues her search to save Melody.
Perfect. What a wonderful summary and wonderful premise for this wonderful book. What themes are present throughout the text?
How to overcome generational trauma, not letting your abusers isolate you, understanding that not all family is blood related. It is okay to reach out when you need help because you don't have to traverse your troubles alone, even when it feels like reaching out could literally get you or others killed.
Wonderful themes in the book about found family and the power of that you choose, the family that are able to help you. So I love that. Character arc, would you say, is the largest and most impressive in terms of growth?
I would say Ninde's. Her character arc is the most dramatic. She goes from someone who is desperately trying to gain her family's approval. Learning what she experienced wasn't normal, but it wasn't just not normal. It wasn't okay, but that's not the end of the world to both stand on your own and learn to lean on others for support.
Definitely, I agree. Hers was very dramatic and impressive. Can you talk a bit about the different eras of Ninde's journey throughout the book?
Tori starts out with establishing where she's at. She's been isolated from the world. She finds someone to call a friend. And when that friendship is taken away from her, she finds where she's willing to turn her back on everything she's known and loves to save it. And when she tries to establish connections to help her get stronger so that she can not only face what's chasing her, but also protect what she's searching for, she finds over and over again that support she acquires gets taken away from her. This puts her in a low place where she shuts herself off from trusting anyone, but at her core self, she is still someone who wants to protect those who can't protect themselves, and that is what ends up opening the door to allow others in her life who see that in her and have the capability to not only protect themselves, but encourage that spark inside her to grow into something more powerful and bring her into a world where she no longer has to run in fear, but gets to experience what it's like just to be herself and to live for herself. And then it gives her the confidence and the strength later in the story that when what she has is threatened again, to be able to stand firm and protect her own peace.
I love that, yeah. What scene are you most excited for readers to discover for the first time?
The scene I'm most excited for has got to be the one that actually inspired me to write the book. I had 2 lines of dialogue stuck in my head and nowhere to put it. And I was in love with it. It haunted me. So finally, I took this old set of characters that I had and reconstructed their whole story to fit it solely so I could use that line of dialogue. And it was beautiful. You'll find it in the chapter with the blind dance, and I think it'll make you fall in love with the characters just as much as I did.
I love that. I love the unlikely inspirations that writers start out with that end up developing into full books because of something usually very small like that. I love that you found a way to incorporate it and build a whole wonderful novel around that dialogue.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Which character gave you the most trouble to write or connect?
I would say Melody. Melody was actually someone I had a bit of trouble working with because when I first sent it out to my beta reader, it was pointed out she didn't really have a very clear motive. It was sort of like murky where she was coming from. So I spent several days trying to piece together what could actually be driving her. And when it clicked, I accidentally connected 14 books, and now I have like a whole series always planned, but it was thanks to her motivation that I started seeing like the wheels behind the scenes turning, and I was like, oh, okay, so that's the overall picture.
I love that. I love that the problem character ended up unlocking a whole other arc that you didn't even know was there. Can you talk a bit about some of your inspirations for Bonds?
I would say, so Ninde was the very first character I ever created or wrote about. She started out as a character I used to navigate several of my favorite stories by other writers, and while she did interact with like some of the main cast members of those stories, her story and the characters surrounding her were all of my own creation. I ended up like bending and molding them to the lore of each story and world I put her in until basically I had my own story I might as well have written myself. And while her story did change drastically over time and grew, the core elements are still there, like woven in, and it's sort of a nod back to when I first started creating her.
I love that. I love that she's been with you for so long and you are finally putting her out into the world.
Yeah, I'm very excited.
Can you talk to us about the world building of the book?
Interesting fact about the coalition is that there is much more to it than meets the eye. Basically, in biblical lore, Lucifer actually had an entire family, a mother, a father, a sister, even 2 children. And one of which was a son named, I think you pronounce it Keeks. And the background is that when the universe was created, there was, a god of gods who designated creating different aspects of the universe and the governing of each aspect to other deities. Each culture may have had different names for them, but they all linked back to the same people, the same deities, just different names. There were 2 main types of dominant people on Earth, magic kind and non-magic kind. God fell in love with one, Lucifer fell in love with the other. When he saw God's obvious favoritism, he tried to level the playing field basically by getting support to protect the other kind. God saw this as rebellion, cast him out of heaven, and sealed him and his supporters away. His son, Lucifer's son, decided this was unfair and created the coalition to help with the separation of the 2 kinds, sending magic kind into a sort of secrecy to basically prevent the fighting between the 2 kinds. Over time, misinformation spread. Some believed he was trying to suppress magic altogether. Others believed he was doing this to protect everyone equally. But what they don't realize is that what he wants is to create a veil between the worlds to separate the 2 kinds permanently so that they can never interact again. And what he doesn't know is that this is going to have an extremely high cost, and not only is it life-threatening, but will throw the world into what is basically what the Bible refers to as like the rapture, the end of days, the apocalypse, things like that. And when Lucifer walks the earth again, the people will disappear in the blink of an eye as if stolen by God himself, basically.
I love that. I love when authors take biblical lore and turn it into something all their own. I think those takes are so fascinating, and I love that that's the overarching world building for the world of Bonds. Now, what does Bonds mean to you?
Honestly, this is one of my absolute favorite books I've ever worked on. It's right up there with my other series that's coming out later this year with the Diney series. I started working on that one in high school, but I even started Ninde's story before that. Ninde, Legoland, Melody, they were some of the first characters I ever created and fell in love with, and I really hope others feel the same way.
I love that. I love that you're finally able to put them into the world after so long.
Yes, me too.
Now, can we expect the sequel and what lies ahead for these characters?
You can absolutely expect to see Ninde and others in stories to come for sure. There's more to her father's story, believe it or not, and more to what started their whole operation. And I really think it's going to be a roller coaster of a ride.
Oh, that's very exciting. I'm looking forward to it. What do you hope readers take away from reading this book?
I do want readers to fall in love with a different kind of story. Yes, there's the love story. Yes, there are a few silly tropes and sassy characters, but there's also learning how to carve out a place for yourself in the world. Maybe you were taught one thing your entire life, but that doesn't mean you're forced to accept that that's the only way things have to be. You may lose everything that's ever been important to you, but that doesn't mean you should give up or that you have to do it alone. Ninde is the fierce part of me that I've always protected and that I never wanted to give up. Not when I lost everything, like family, friends, jobs, money, pets, literally everything I held dear. I went through so much that made it hard to function. I was scared just how Ninde was scared. She didn't give up. I didn't give up, and I want her to be a beacon to others struggling. Yeah, it's hard. Yeah, it may get worse, but it won't stay that way forever.
I love that message, and readers go to books for escapism a lot, and it's so comforting to read that kind of message that it's not going to be this bad forever. Is there anything else you'd like to add that we haven't covered here?
While I do hope people enjoy the message this book brings, and while I hope they enjoy the characters and their journeys, what I really hope is that they can get lost in the story that was there for me when I needed it the most, and I hope that it can inspire them just like it did me.
Yeah, I think that's all we ever want as authors, is for readers to see the same things in the book that we do and the things that we love, and for readers to really understand the vision.
Yeah, definitely.
So tell the people where they can find you online and where they can find The Bonds of Earth and Fire. Congratulations on release, by the way.
Thank you. I have the book, The Bonds of Earth and Fire, on Amazon in ebook and paperback form. And I also will be publishing it on lulu.com pretty soon once I figure out their website. Find me under Inks Books on pretty much the social media website. It's either Inks Books separated by a dash or a period, a space, something like that. But I'm usually Inks Books all across the board.
Wonderful. I will put the link to The Bonds of Earth and Fire in the description for anyone watching who is interested in this wonderful, comforting, but also thrilling romantasy. It was a delightful read. So thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Of course.